Okay, so behind me is the construction site for an Earthship Tiny House that is underway. I've been posting updates and I wanted to show everyone what this house will look like when it's completed. We've been trying to get in touch with the owner of the tiny house that Ron built and sold already, which is right behind the camera person here. And so we're about to take a walk through essentially what this building is going to look like once it is completely finished. Let's go check this out. So it's really not that far away. In fact, it's within eyesight of the other build here. All right, come on in. So as you can see, there's a lot more color on this building than it makes out right now while it's under construction. The whole front face is going to be plastered and then tinted with a green stain. Some of the details on the front face, like the mullion caps that go over the windows, are clearly visible now, which are the metal caps that are screwed down onto the windows here. The green flashing on the top, and some exterior lamps and electrical details, as well as, most differently, that you don't see on the build right now, is these planter cells that are in the front of the building. Now we're going to catch up with Ron and the crew who had already gone inside. Ron is going to talk about some of the details in this house that are going to be the same, and also changes that we're going to make for the future. We started the tour in the greenhouse.
So what you have right now is you got a banana tree, you got rubber tree, you got purple Jew, there's geranium in here. You always want to put geranium inside of your planter. It's a good companion plant, but it's also a bug repellent. You can get aphids and mites and some heavy predators that can come in here and decimate a planter pretty easily, especially with not having a full-time homeowner here to manage the system. So this space, even though it was like probably high 20s this morning, this space is going to be pushing about 90 all day long.
Yeah, it's almost uncomfortably warm.
It is. It can get to about 140 degrees. If those blinds were all the way open, this little 8-foot space would be on fire. You can see that the plants are struggling. A lot of them are already really dry and struggling from the direct heat from the sun. So again, it needs a lot of water. It's probably very thirsty, and who knows what gray water is even available to these plants. At this point, I would start top watering them pretty quickly if they want them to last through the winter, which is the time where they get beat up the most.
The crew is here to study the design that they would end up building themselves. So we took a look inside at the living space.
The house is going to be the same in terms of like the way the pitch of the ceiling is. All your cabinets are all going to be homemade by my crew. It's going to have the same kitchen layout. They do want a larger refrigerator. They're going to do something different down here. We're not going to put a bar. We are going to have the cool spice rack, which is really slick. I'm a big fan of storage in kitchens. I've been in the restaurant business since I was 7 years old, so I really know how to build kitchens. This kitchen was actually designed to be even slicker. I had built a bar, and it was on casters, and it had dowel plugs, and you could make it level right here with 2 bar stools, and then it was designed to spin to basically right here for an additional food prep area, and then it clicked down again, and it slipped back here to the banco, so you could eat here. And the Murphy bed I designed had a built-in couch and drawers. It was a one-of-a-kind. Both of these were one-of-a-kind. We made them custom here on site. But the new owner I sold it to, they didn't want any use of it, so we'll put them in the new building. There'll be way more space also with the new building. This is only 12 feet. The new one's 14 feet. And the greenhouse is actually going to be a little bit bigger as well. So you get a little bit more food production that's going to happen in it.
That's going to be in the closet now.
Right, because I didn't screw it up and make my closet too small. So these breaker panels right here, these are your DC panels. This is your AC panel. Basically, if there's a problem with them and they spark, you've got to have 36 inches space of clearance to move away from it. We had 32. So as a result, we were going to fail the electrical inspection, and I can't risk that. So we ended up deciding at the last minute, okay, we're going to put it here. We'll leave that as a closet for cleaning supplies because, again, it was an Airbnb. It was a perfect fit. It ended up working. And then we put the AGM batteries underneath.
So in the end, there have been many changes made to the new design, which we're currently working on. One of the big changes was an increase in the size of the floor plan in the bathroom. While the old design only accounted for a small shower cabin, the new design allows for an entire tub. Well, that's it for the tour. I hope it gave you a better idea of what we're building and what it's going to look like when it's finished. As for us, we're going back to work. For those who've already been watching, you know that we have just begun the process of weatherproofing the building before the unpredictable rainy, windy, and snowy weather starts. I'm posting updates every week documenting the construction of this Earthship Tiny House, so be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications if you don't want to miss a video. For this video, I'm trying out something new. I'm breaking my updates into two parts. The first part of the video is going to be a more exciting, fast-paced overview, less focused on details. And in the second part of the video, it's going to contain more raw, uncut footage and interviews with the site foreman, Ron Chirillo. So let's give it a shot and let me know what you think in the comments below. As for now, I'm going to show you how we built the roof on the tiny house Earthship. This section is going to be quite long and I'm not finished editing all of it. This is an example of the roof from the tiny house in the beginning of the video, and it gives you an idea of what we're going to be building on the tiny house we're working on currently. So here's a preview of the roofing video, and be sure to check it out when I release the full version if you're interested in all the details. Where we left off last week, we had just finished framing the greenhouse, and we're about to install the roof rafters. Putting up the roof rafters is the very first step to insulating and waterproofing the structure. Once it is completed, we can begin working on the inside, protected from the elements. Many have asked me about roofing alternatives for Earthships, which is why I'm extra excited to show you this detail. With the price of lumber increasing due to supply chain issues caused by COVID-19, these manufactured lumber trusses are a no-brainer in the current economic landscape. And unlike the excessive telephone poles used as roof rafters in the Earthships of old, designed by Mike Reynolds, the manufactured joists that we are using on this build are a much more efficient use of material. Their lightweight design allows them to be carried by two people, and you could effectively install the roof in one weekend with a friend. Not only does their design use less wood, but it allows for the polyiso insulation panels to be sandwiched between the trusses. We broke into teams to tackle the task. One team was laying out the trusses and the other preparing the insulation panels. The layout plan for the trusses is 16-inch on center. After doing the math, Alan and Johnny decided to start installing from the middle, working their way out from east to west end. This part of the process lays the foundation for every detail that follows, and they must be precise now to avoid big mistakes later. Once they set the first rafters, however, the rest goes relatively quickly.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Once the last rafter was set, we realized that we were going to be short one. So instead of waiting a week for a delivery, I decided to take things into my own hands. So I fabricated a 20-foot long, 14-inch tall, laminated truss on site using 2x4s, 2x12s, and some glue and some metal plates and nails. I didn't end up filming the process. It was late in the day, in the evening, when I made it, but it involved a lot of clamps. The glue had dried overnight by the time we were trying to hoist it up the ladder, and this was probably the riskiest part. I was confident that the rafter would hold up once it was installed, but getting it there was kind of the issue. It was a lot heavier than the manufactured trusses that we had purchased, but we managed to make it work. Josh and I had been preparing 16-inch wide panels of polyiso to be inserted into the trusses. We had to gear up with respirators just to be able to cut the foam, which is full of microscopic glass fibers. It's a very itchy situation, and you certainly don't want to breathe in the fiberglass dust that clouds around the saw. And here's the dust from a different angle. For those of you who've been watching closely, we said in a previous video that the insulation in this house would be made of recycled textile, which would have increased the R value to 100. However, that material recently went out of production, so we had to go with Plan B. We ended up stacking 3 pieces of 3-inch thick polyiso foam board in the cavity. The resulting 9 inches of foam will have an R value of 78, a number that surpasses our benchmark for performance. In fact, it still surpasses Energy Star's recommended R value of 50 to 60 for the attic of a house built in the coldest climate zones in the United States of America. Unfortunately, that's as far as I got editing the roof video, so that's all you're going to see for now. Next, we're going to be installing the rim joists, laying plywood, putting the ice and water guard, and then doing the metal roofing. So there's a lot of juicy details coming up. Stay tuned for the roofing video if you want to see how everything comes together. Unfortunately, Johnny won't be here to finish the roof with us. He's leaving for Florida. So goodbye, Florida man. Safe travels. But I didn't want Johnny to leave without building the Earthship model kit, so I busted out a copy, and Johnny had a lot of fun putting it together. For those of you who don't know, Earthship Model Kit is the independent study project that I did for the Earthship Academy, where I took everything I learned and made a scaled down version of a real Earthship with an accurate floor plan of a 900 square foot studio home. The high quality full color die cut model includes 12 pieces that make it easy to assemble the architecturally accurate model. It comes with easy to understand instructions and a 32-page full color informational guide that teaches you the 6 principles that make Earthship some of the most sustainable buildings in the world. We have almost completely sold out of the first print run of Earthship Model Kit, so if you did want to get your hands on some and don't want to wait in case we have to go to a second print run, so those of you who don't want to miss your chance to pick up a copy, or if you're going to get it as a Christmas gift, be sure to get your order in early so that we have time to ship it to you, because these things are going to be out of stock soon.